In a world parallel to Earth, humanity was trapped in a war with no end in sight. Hundreds of spatial gates, called otherworld portals, had opened all over the planet. These gates didn't lead directly to another world, but to a chaotic in-between realm known as the battlefield of two worlds. It was a buffer zone, a fortress both sides wanted to claim. Whoever fully controlled that battlefield would also hold the power to open and close the gates, and could launch a full-scale invasion into the enemy's world. To defend their home, humanity relied on those who awakened abilities at the age of 17. They were warriors, the hope of an entire civilization. Every high-level ability user, especially those of S rank or higher, was a strategic pillar. Their existence alone could decide the survival of millions. Next, Rachel Anderson. The overseer's voice boomed through the marble hall, stirring a wave of noise. Rows of seats trembled as whispers rippled out. Every gaze turned toward the blonde girl stepping out from her line. Light from the crystal chandeliers poured down, setting Rachel's hair ablaze like a curtain of gold. Her high heels struck a steady rhythm against the stone floor, echoing in the air thick with tension. "It's the school beauty's turn," one student muttered, nudging his friend, lips curling with excitement. "Not just the beauty. Word is she's also the Anderson family's prodigy. She might awaken something huge." Another whisper slipped in from behind, tangled with the quick, shallow breaths of hundreds. In the waiting row, John Marcus lifted his head, his eyes locked on her. 17 years old, sitting still, his hand clenched lightly on his knee. That girl wasn't a stranger to him. They'd sat together in class, held hands once at sunset. Now, each step she took carried the weight of the academy's eyes. Rachel stopped in front of the stone pillar, as tall as a person, its smooth surface reflecting her figure. "Place your hand on it. Relax your mind." The black-robed overseer gestured from behind, his voice stern but unable to hide the anticipation. Her slender hand rose. Her fingers trembled faintly, but her eyes stayed steady, carrying that familiar pride. The instant her skin touched the cold stone, a deep boom tore through the hall. Like thunder cracking across the crystal dome, the shock rumbled through the ground. A pillar of light exploded from the stone, a blazing orange gold shooting straight upward, piercing the transparent roof. Light twisted and churned, sparks scattering, illuminating the terrified faces of hundreds of students. "S rank!" "That's S rank!" a girl cried out, hands over her mouth, eyes shaking. Impossible, this academy hasn't seen an S rank in years. An elderly teacher shot to his feet, eyes red, voice stammering. The hall erupted like a dam bursting. Stone seats shook from the stomping crowd. Some leapt into the air, others collapsed where they sat, dizzy with shock. John stared at Rachel within the holy blaze. In her sky-blue eyes flashed a brief surprise, quickly shifting into proud confidence. The pillar of light lifted her presence higher, announcing she'd already stepped beyond the reach of most. A hand nudged John's shoulder. A classmate smirked and murmured, "Your girlfriend just turned into a legend." John didn't answer. His lips pressed thin. His gaze never left the stage, waves of unspoken turmoil rising inside. "S-rank support system. Heaven's gift to mankind," someone shouted, voice breaking, and the cheers grew even louder. Before the light could even fade, figures were already rushing down from the stands. Cloaks embroidered with family crests billowed, spiritual pressure flaring so strong it crushed those nearby. "The Hudson family pays respects to Lady Rachel. The Klein clan is ready to sign a contract on the spot. This is the blessed saintess. Who dares steal her away first?" Offers clashed and overlapped, drowning the cheers. Students near the aisles scrambled aside as waves of people surged down from the stands. In the chaos, Rachel turned her head slightly. Just for an instant, her eyes met John's. Beneath the glittering light, there was a flicker of joy in her gaze and the faintest trace of guilt. John sat still, unmoving. The hand under his desk clenched tight, knuckles pale. His face stayed calm, the crystal glow etching sharp lines across it. The comparison was clear enough. No one needed to say it out loud. The overseer raised his arm, voice thundering over the noise. Srank the blessed saintess! Recovery and full body enhancement, a rarity among tens of thousands. From today onward, Anderson Rachel stands as a strategic pillar of humanity. The hall shook with deafening cheers, louder than any storm. The chandeliers rattled, scattering star-like sparks of light. Rachel stepped down from the stage. Dozens of family representatives swarming her, hands thrust out, voices overlapping like merchants fighting over treasure. Next, John Marcus! The overseer's voice rang out beneath the crystal dome, sweeping away the last echoes of Rachel's S-rank awakening. Silence fell over the hall. Hundreds of eyes turned at once. John drew a breath and stood. The stone bench creaked as his weight left it. He stepped into the aisle, each footfall heavy, like he was dragging the whole world with him. "That's Rachel's boyfriend, right?" someone whispered, half laughing. "The pressure's brutal. No way he can match the saintess." The reply was soft, but it still reached John's ears. He didn't look back, just clenched his fist tighter. His palm was slick with sweat, but his steps never faltered. At the altar, the transparent orb awaited on its cold stone pedestal. Inside, streams of light swirled lazily like they were asleep. "Place your hand." The overseer nodded, eyes sharp. John raised his hand. His fingers shook at first, then steadied. The moment his palm pressed against the orb, a chill shot down his spine, swallowed in an instant by a blaze bursting from his chest. Boom! The orb shuddered, unleashing a blinding golden light. A pillar of radiance speared straight into the dome, through the crystal roof, out into the sky. "Golden light, it's even stronger than Rachel's," a teacher cried, voice breaking. "No, not just stronger." The overseer at his side trembled, throat clogged, then exploded into a roar. "SSS!" The legendary SSS. That cry lit the fuse. The silent hall erupted. Students leapt to their feet. Benches clattered over. The roar of voices rolled like a storm. John staggered inside the blazing gold. Light poured into every pore. His heartbeat thundered like war drums. His whole body felt weightless, as if he might rise and soar with the divine beam. "SSS ability first in the Academy's history," a guest screamed, clutching his head in shock. "This is the legendary trainer. A mythical ability," the overseer declared, eyes bloodshot on the verge of madness. Below, Rachel's eyes were wide, brimming with pride and admiration. Her gaze pierced the golden veil, locked onto John as if saying, "We will be legends together." John's heart raced, filled with joy and burning resolve. He saw the future laid open before him, a pair of S and SSS, humanity's pride. But right as glory crested, a strange chill seeped into the light. His ears caught an odd sound, a faint hiss, sharp and bitter, slicing through the cheers. In the crowd below, a plain-looking man lifted his hand. A thread of deep violet, thin as silk, cut through the air. No loud noise, just a creeping, icy sense of death crawling across the skin. Before John could react, the golden pillar convulsed. The brilliance shrank, black cracks spiderwebbing through it. A strangled detonation broke. Boom! Crack! The SSS light shattered, falling away in fragments, dissolving like broken glass. Silence crushed the hall. In an instant, the majestic gold was gone, leaving only a weak, trembling blue glow clinging to John's body. "What the hell?" a student screamed. "No way! That was SSS just now." A teacher stammered, face pale. John stood frozen. His body still thrummed with the echo of divine power, but all that remained around him was that pathetic blue aura. Pain stabbed his chest, like someone had ripped out the most precious part of him. The guards lunged into the crowd, pinning down a man with an ordinary face. They forced him to the ground, but black froth spilled from his lips. His body convulsed, then went limp. Shouts burst out everywhere. "Otherworld spy! He killed himself!" Was it because of him? On the stage, the overseer wavered, staring at the orb, then at John. His throat worked dryly. At last, his voice came out stiff and hollow. "John Marcus ability crippled downgraded to rank B. Title, the legendary chicken breeder." The words struck like a hammer blow. Chicken breeder? A student blinked, then let out a dry laugh. "From SSS down to B?" Another voice cracked, mixing pity with scorn. Whispers, mockery, pity, they came from all sides, stabbing into his back like needles. John went rigid, eyes wide, staring at the dim blue light wrapped around his hand. Every laugh, every stare pressed into him like salt on an open wound. Below, Rachel stood still. Her eyes no longer burned with pride, surprise, disappointment, and at the end, a faint, cold gleam flickered deep in the blue. Under that fragile glow surrounding the boy, all the pride from moments ago collapsed. Only a heavy, suffocating emptiness hung in the air. The phone buzzed as John walked along the sidewalk, the dull glow of street lamps washing over his silent face. The screen lit up. A short message appeared. Rachel Anderson. "Let's break up. Our paths are different now." His finger froze above the glass, icy like someone had dumped a bucket of cold water on him. Around him, people still chattered about the awakening ceremony, no one noticing the boy who had just taken the second crushing blow of the day.